Welcome back to Adobe Live. Finally, another Tony Harmer's Tony Harmer show by and with Tony Harmer Best of Max edition. Tony, how are you feeling?
Hi, Tim. I'm feeling fantastic.
And
How about you, mate?
I am super happy because outside it's slowly getting dark again, and I do really like the darkness because then the back of my head is no longer blown out in the video. It's because the sun isn't shining. Oh, no, the camera. Right now outside it's almost, well, it looks like thunderbolt and lightning, and that's very, very frightening. So I'm really happy to see some of the new features today that will brighten up my day.
Absolutely, it'll be a right fandango Scaramouche. I can tell you, it really, really will be.
But before we jump right into the features, two things we have to do. First of all, if you're watching this anywhere but on Behance, make sure to come on over to behance.net/Adobe Live. Behance.net/Adobe Live. That's the only place where we will read the chat. That's where the cool kids hang out. So come on over to behance.net/Adobe Live. Have I said behance.net/Adobe Live?
I think you have. And just in case you didn't, I'll say behance.net/Adobe Live.
All together now. Right. And in the chat, people are already joining us. It's Jane and Gareth and Carrie and Emma and Angus and Oliver and scrolling up and Steve and more people are joining us. They're already talking about time change has happened all over. It's 1 a.m. for me. Well, good morning, Steve. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Steve.
And Tony moved his camera. Yes, it's a whole new perspective we're looking at. We can peek into the recording booth on the right side.
You can actually, and because the shutter's not down, you can actually see in there as well. So
exciting.
There you go. I know.
But Tony, we do have a lot to show today. So why should we just get started?
Yes, let's get started. We're going to try and shoehorn in as much as we can within reason. We'll do a couple of things in Illustrator, a couple of things in InDesign, 2 or 3 things in InDesign. Of course, there's always tons to do in Photoshop, so we'll have some fun on the way. So there we go. Oh. Shall we start?
No, I think we should just talk for another hour or so, perhaps.
How things are going generally.
So the other day, I went into the grocery store.
And I got a massive crack in my windshield, which I'm not happy with that. But anyway, moving on. So, of course, the new kid on the block from this Max officially is Illustrator on the iPad. We've got Illustrator on the iPad, which is exciting.
Oh, crazy.
New things coming along all the time. Yeah, really fun. I think it had a bit of a rocky start to begin with, but now it's kind of there. Getting there, at least. Very, very close. Much more what I think personally I expected from it. But I'll show you a few things. So this is just something that I put together actually for Max. This is in my Max demo. This was all created in Illustrator on the iPad. Here it's a younger me, sans beard, working at my drawing board. I've still got one.
Oh, and I'm getting a call.
And there's a.
Sorry about that.
Is it the 90s? They want.
Yeah, they want their wallpaper pattern back.
They want their wallpaper back. And of course, it's got a cat sat there doing the sleeps, as is normally the case. But anyway, just drawn like so. Lots and lots of shapes and odds and ends going on in there, and a few features that we'll be taking a look at. The one that I'm doing just here, is the actual layer that has the wallpaper on it. Now, I should be able to turn that on and off. Just there, you can see that. So you can see it's on one layer. And that in itself, created in Illustrator on the iPad. So I've just unlocked that. I haven't named it. My layer naming isn't as disciplined as Sarah Coleman's. But there you go. It's getting there. At least it wasn't.
You also don't have the nails, Tony. Nails are not quite on point.
No, man, I don't. And I'm so glad I trimmed mine this morning. There you go. But just to show you, I've got all of the things that I'd expect in here. So I've got layer opacity. I've also got blend modes, and I've got all of that good stuff. So I can switch to blend mode here, for example, to overlay, like so. Just drop down the opacity, nice and subtle like so. And of course, in Illustrator on the iPad, the documents come out to one of the other great new features that's shared between a lot of the applications, and that's cloud documents. So this can come along into Illustrator on the desktop with, you don't have to send it there like you did previously with other applications. You'd have to send it across to the desktop. Now it's a very live and organic to and fro linkage. Now, not all of the features in Illustrator on the iPad, by the way, are supported yet on the desktop version, but they'll be coming along pretty soon. So I thought I'd just show you the blend mode thing just to start off with. And what I'm going to do then is I'm just going to go into a new document that I prepared earlier, and we'll take a look at some of the tools here. So tool set on the left hand side, some things are nested in here. Okay, like for example, the pencil tool, okay, is there with the blob brush. So if you use that in Illustrator, what that does, it doesn't draw, well, it does draw paths, but it draws like filled paths. So things that have been, that are actually in effect a shape there. So if you want to draw with that, and of course the advantages of doing that, you've got a load of different brush types you can use there, getting very, very similar to the ones in Illustrator Draw. And they were pretty hot brushes actually in Illustrator Draw. Or Fresco, absolutely. And of course you can interoperate between Fresco and here. So you can bring in something that you've created in Fresco. So if you wanted a sketch with something that was more pencil-like, you could do that and then bring that into Illustrator on the iPad and use it as the basis for a drawing and so on. In fact, one of the other things that's on here, just before I do that, let's open this one up here. So this one, which is in one of my LinkedIn courses, actually, this one here, this actually started in Illustrator and then was saved as a cloud document and opened in Illustrator on the iPad. And the cloud in the background here, this sort of sky, well, it's not just a cloud, the whole background there, the sky, that's actually using a freeform gradient in there. So it even supports freeform gradients, which is fantastic, that you can access all of that good stuff. So there's plenty of options for you to work in the way that I kind of think was envisioned for Creative Cloud in the first place. You know, that you can work on so many things, switch devices, carry on working over there, much more 21st century than we've had before. So I'm just going to be turned this way a little bit, Tim. So I'm hoping that the mic will still pick me up okay while I'm there. So yeah, the blob brush from there. So at the moment I'm drawing with a black stroke here apparently, and no fill, which is kind of interesting that I'm doing that, but there you go. But if I go ahead and get my selection tool and select that, let's just go ahead and then switch to my direct selection tool just underneath it. You can see there are all the anchor points that it's generated. Now you can do things with those. You can go ahead and simplify some of these things. So if I go simplify path here on the right hand side, you can see that it does that, and you can keep on doing it until you get the result you want. I mean, obviously there's going to be a trade-off at some point. You know, if you keep on doing it, some of the things are going to change slightly, but it's great that it's actually in there. Now, if I just go ahead and use the context menu underneath, so this is another thing that's great because it stops you from having loads of panels open like you do on the desktop, like this stuff where everything's in context. Here, a few different things I can change here, but I'm just going to hit the trash can to delete a couple of points that are active, or if I switch to the selection tool, okay, you can see again, I've still got this whole context thing there. I can just hit the trash can to delete that. Now the pencil, if I switch across to that, because of course we've got to cover other things as well. I wasn't mad for the pencil to start off with here, but it got a bit of extra work put into it fairly recently, and now it's fantastic. It's a really good tool, and for me the key to using this, if I just go back to the pencil here and go down to the icon at the bottom here, I've got this smoothing option. You can see I've got the smoothing set to 10 here. So it's going to smooth it. Because I'm a smooth operator. I am. Always with the Fandango. Yeah. Always operating in the smooth manner. All right. So I can go ahead here. And what I'm going to do now, if I just switch between the fill and stroke, look on the left-hand side, you can see the fill and the stroke there. And I can just swipe across those to change them. So now I'm going to draw with a black stroke, okay, and no fill. Okay, so I'm just going to start to draw like so. Now you see it's following me and it's creating a curve. Now if I stop, you might have just seen that small bit of blue blip just there, telling me that it recognizes I've come to the terminal of a line. In fact, it did it twice because I hung around while I was talking. Yeah, it went ahead and put another point in there, but that's, you can see how easy that is to draw with. Really lovely. And it also recognizes when a path is closed. If I just swap those things over, there you go, just like that. So the pencil tool for me works, I think, really, really well.
And I
You've
noticed
got a touch modifier.
If you do sharp corners, you don't even have to stop. It just knows when you do a really sharp corner.
It does, yeah. It's kind of an angle threshold. So when you get to a thing, if it comes off that, you thinks, okay, right, that's actually meant to be a corner.
Yeah.
There's a touch modifier on this as well, just as there is in Fresco. Just down at the bottom here.
Sean says my smoothing goes to 11.
So does mine, baby. So does mine. Just gonna switch to the trash can here. There we go. Right, and moving on. Right, so I've also got a touch modifier here, so you can see that I can go ahead. Now I'm drawing in straight line segments, just there. So if I wanted to draw straight line segments, I could do that. And just as with Fresco, in some cases, and Photoshop on the iPad, okay, if you swipe outwards, you access a second level, okay, of interaction there. So it can do other things as well if you swipe out. But that doesn't work with every tool, just some from there. If you're combining shapes, let's do something a bit more fun just for a minute. What I'm going to do is, before I combine any shapes, so I'm going to use one of these shape tools. I'm going to use the polygon tool just here, and I'm going to draw a polygon. Now I'm going to just hold down the touch modifier, and you can see it's telling me that it's constrained, like so. Okay, so there we are. That's a constrained shape. Now corners, if I want to do those, I've got a widget, just like in the desktop. And on the right-hand side of the bounding box, just like on the desktop, I've got another widget just there. Okay, to change the number of sides. At the top here, I've got a rotation point. Okay, and you see if I hold down Shift, I can constrain that as well. So
Shift
if I want to
as
go for
in the
example,
touch modifier.
as in the touch mod, yeah, true, quite true. The touch modifier behaving like it's all shifty. Like that stuff. Right, so I can move that around. Moving, of course, made easier because in the small bar at the bottom, if you're finding it difficult to actually tap on the object, the bar at the bottom actually has a move icon towards the center, as it does lock and so many other things. Okay, so I'm going to zoom out here, bring this more into the center of the artboard there. You saw the smart guides working for me. I'm also going to duplicate this. Now the bar at the bottom, just to the right, extreme right is a trash can, just to the left of that, a duplicate icon. Okay, so you can see I've got that. Now, if I wanted to resize this from the center on the desktop, I'd need to hold down Shift and Alt or Option to do that. Well, all I need to do here, so if I start my resizing operation and just hit the center there, it's keeping it constrained. But if I push outwards, it actually goes from the center like so. So there you go. Right, that's how you can do that really quickly. I keep slipping off of the edge of it, but there we go. Let's do that one more time. There we are. And I can select those. I can go ahead and align them to each other like that. Nice and easy. And then I'm going to do a Pathfinder operation on them. Now, the lovely thing here is if you choose the Pathfinders, you've got the Shape Builder tool at the top here. So you can go into Shape Builder mode by tipping on that. But all of the other things here actually show you what the result is going to look like. Now, I know that's not going to be very easy for people looking at this on a small screen. So what I'm going to do temporarily is just swap the fill and stroke of these two. So they're both filled with black. Now, if I go ahead and go to that, you can see here that the results show me what will happen. So rather than having to know what minus front means, okay, you can just go, oh yeah, that's what I want, and tap on it and it's done. You can still access the original shape. So if you double click on it, you can see that just like in XD, people who use XD will be very familiar with this kind of way of working. If I wanted to make a change here, such as the scale, then I can go ahead and do that like so. Okay, I'm just doing that from the center outwards and away. There you go. So it stays, the Boolean operation, which is what that actually is, okay, remains persistent even after you finished. So what I'll do then is I'm going to go ahead now and draw a rectangle. So a long press just here. Go ahead, draw a rectangle like so. Okay, and zoom in on that.
That's what
move
fine
that into
rectangle.
place. It's a super fine rectangle. That I love it. It's my favorite rectangle of the week. And there you go. You didn't know I had a favorite rectangle of the week award, but I do. And this is it, like so. And what I'm going to do then, cheers, man. Now, any prizes in the chat for guessing what I'm actually drawing? Let me know, Tim, if anybody tells you what I'm drawing. I know you probably guessed what I'm drawing already.
Of course.
Of course you have. There we are. So what I'm going to do is go to one of the repeats here. I'm going to choose mirror, like so. I'm going to, ooh, I like that mirror. That mirror works really, really well for me. I'm then going to click on that, and I'm going to go ahead and go to the menu here and choose expand. Now that's drawing those two things together. So the mirroring is live until you do that. So if I just undo here, and now I say I want to change the angle, this one, you can see how the mirroring there works with me. Okay, now I'll go ahead and I'll expand that. So I need to select it without any operation being active. Choose expand. Then I'm going to select these things just here, and I'll choose another repeat. Okay, so I'll choose radial. Ooh.
A geometric turnip. Okay, I'll take that.
A geoturnip. That's exactly what we were going for there, Tim. But this thing's so good because you can just move things about. Right? You can also, while you're working with it, you can actually create separate instances while you're working with it. But look at that. You can change where they are. You can also change the number of sections you've got on there. Small widget on the side. Look, what is it, Tim?
It's a hexagon, because hexagons are bestagons.
Did anybody in the chat get it, though? Did anybody in the chat see where I was going with it?
No, they're just all insulting me. They're saying snowflake.
Winning. I've grouped that, again, using the context bar underneath the actual shape. So that's all grouped like so. Let's just resize that. Now, unfortunately, symbols aren't supported yet in the iPad version, which is a shame. But, you know, that will come along in the fullness of time. Not as straightforward as you think, I'm sure. But I could then go ahead and create something based on those. So if I wanted to create a grid of them, if you use XD, this will be very familiar because it's just like repeat grid, apart from you've got some lines here to just space things out as well. You can see these along the top, so you can set your pattern repeats using these small widgets just on the corners there. Okay, of course it won't scale to that, but you get the idea. Yeah, so I could do it that way. I'm just going to back that up to where I had one, and there we go. Just about. Oh golly. Do a bit more radial stuff. I really love the radial repeat. So good. So good. And the fact that you can just go ahead and just, you know, manipulate this around like so is just lovely. Really lovely. So there we are. Plenty to be had on there. Yeah, but I think for now, let's just check the time.
We will repeat the repeat.
And we could do that. Let's do that. In fact, let's scale that repeat and do it again. Let's do another radial repeat. Okay, based on that one. That's getting crazy stuff now. There
actually it works. I didn't expect that. Okay.
Oh yeah, no, it does. Yeah. You didn't say.
Well, there's your word of the day. Fractal repetition.
I don't think it's truly fractal though, is it? But you know, anyway, but there you are. But look at that. So hypnotic. Send me your bank account details. There we are. So there's plenty to be had. Tons and tons. It supports gradients. You can bring in images as well from a range of different places. You've got artboard support in there as well, so you can set different artboard presets. Type, of course. A pen tool. So if you want to use a pen tool, if you're just thinking, oh man, I need a pen tool in my life, then you can do that. You can see that it just works like the classic pen tool.
I'm
sure that eventually it does. I'm sure though that at some point they'll get a version of the curvature pen tool in there as well, because that's really good. But there you are. So that's the iPad bit, because we're not doing Photoshop on the iPad today. But that's the iPad bit out of the way. So I can go ahead now and switch my share. So let's do that. It is hypergroovy.com. Yeah, go to hypergroovy.com for all of your Creative Cloud, tutorial needs. That is actually something that's built into Photoshop and Illustrator. There's more learn stuff now in Illustrator. If you go for the light bulb at the top here, okay, there's a bunch of different tutorials in there which you may find useful in there. So take a look at those. Similarly, in Photoshop, Photoshop's invested a lot in their tutorials for that. But I thought I'd show you one thing from the Max release. It's nice not having to say CC all the time, by the way. Now just being able to say Illustrator 2021 rather than having to say CC 2021. You can just say 2021 and that's it. You don't have to say CC anymore and sound like you're a very agreeable Spanish person. There we are. Right, I've got some artwork selected here and I'd like to recolor it. Now, if you've ever visited the recolor artwork dialog before in the past, right, you will know that it looks big and scary and complex. Let's have a look at that. So I'm going to click on this icon here for recolor artwork because I've got the control strip active. If I didn't, I could just come down here and choose recolor from the properties panel. All roads lead to Rome. And I'll just go for the advanced options. This is what you would see in earlier versions, right? You'd see basically a map of all the current colors in the document. Pardon me. Okay. And you could work in those to remap colors and to do things like color reductions here. So you could say, I want to do a 3-color job from this, and then you'd choose a library to do that. Okay. The document swatch isn't the best thing. And then you'd move these things around and say what things mapped to where. Now, to reset this, previously you had to click on an eyedropper. You had to know that you had to click on an eyedropper to basically sample the artwork colors, whereas now there's a much more intelligent reset button just there, which takes it back to normalcy. And you've also got this edit mode here. We can go along and you can link all of the group colors and unlink them and move them around and sort of change the basically the coloration that way if you want to do that. I'm going to cancel out of this and I'll recall the dialog again, but without switching to those options. So for people that say, oh, they're dumbing Illustrator down, they're not. They're just making it easier for people to come to and to work with. And all of the features, I'm so sorry, that were in there before are still there, just made easier to access. So if I click now, I just want you to take a bit of a look at this dialog, and I want you to notice, one, it's very slim and easy to look at. Okay, a bit like me.
I was about to make the same joke, Tom. I was just, yeah. And then
anyway,
saying, can color do a Tony Harmony?
Yes.
Tony Harmon. Okay.
Yeah, very good. Harmony. It can do a Tony Harmony. Yeah, that was good. It was really good. But it's just, I've never heard that one before.
Nice work, Gareth.
Anyway, so yes, you can choose from various different color libraries here at the top. So if you want to go for different things, you can choose those. You can choose a color reduction here as well if you want to do that. Underneath it, we've got this interesting button, color theme picker. Now, what's that all about? Well, if you've been into InDesign, InDesign has a tool called the color theme tool. Okay, and it allows you to extract color themes from content, okay, in your document. And this is the equivalent here in Illustrator. So if I click on that, you'll see it tells me it's active by changing color. And then I can move out and sample colors either from the vector artwork, okay, that's already here, or I can go ahead and choose an image. So if I go for this one at the top, these are just two random ones I've dragged in from my library here. These are from last week's Halloween gig. Okay, and if I click on that, you can see it creates a color theme. You can see that down in the bottom here, and it gives me a suggestion for recoloring. Now, I can move any of these individual nodes around. At the moment, they're all linked together. But I can also change the prominence of colors, okay, down here. You'll see that I get this small line dividing up. So if I decide, oh, I'd like this color to be more prominent, then it starts to change. And maybe if I choose another color that I'd like to be quite prominent as well, okay, and I kind of like where that's going with the kind of brass-like color in the background. But I can just do it. I can also keep running the thing again as well. So if I want to just click through it and cycle through the various options, I can do that. You can see I've got 2 buttons here. So this is change the color order randomly. Let's give that a go. Okay, so it starts to swap these things out. Get some interesting results. Just in case you're wondering why one part of this here isn't changing, it's because it's actually controlled by a plugin that this version of Illustrator doesn't have the plugin installed, so it doesn't understand it just at the moment. I can also switch around and change the saturation and brightness randomly. Here, I've still got that reset button at the top. I'll try for a different image this time, so I'll just pick a different image. And you can have more than one, by the way. You can select from several different sources if you want to, okay, to join things together. Yeah, but there you go. So I've got the colors from that particular image. You can just go ahead and do loads of different things for them. Now, the thing that I want you to notice more than anything else, because this is subtle but cool, think about when you exit a dialogue. Absolutely, 100%, Tim. Finally. I agree with that. But think about what you do when you exit a dialogue. What do you do when you want to exit a dialogue?
I throw on the laptop.
Yep.
And then
or you click OK.
Yeah.
Or you click OK.
Well, if the other one doesn't work, yeah.
What would be the next thing on from clicking OK? You'd just go and click somewhere else on the artwork and carry on, right? That makes the most sense. So why click OK? And that's the great thing here. If I just come away from this, once the color theme picker is no longer active, right, I just click away and that's it. It's committed.
Also, clicking OK doesn't really work on this panel since there is no OK button.
But you don't. That's what I'm saying. You don't need it. You just click away and carry on.
Yeah.
It's one less click. It's one less click. And of course, it's an undo away because that's actually a live piece of artwork from one of my courses as well. So I'm going to close that without saving so I don't actually mess that up. Right. So from there, let's go to InDesign where I have a kitten.
Oh,
lovely kitten. I know. Everybody say
all together now. Oh.
Are they enjoying this, Tim? I hope so.
Yeah. I mean, Gareth is always asking for more After Effects.
But you know, I was going to put some After Effects in today, but I thought to do the like new Roto Brush 2, any justice and that stuff, I'd really need to put more time into that. So I didn't do any more.
You know what? I promise that by the end we will have shown After Effects. I can promise.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, fab. Right, so I'm going to go to the type menu here and I'm going to fill this with placeholder text. Oh, do you want me to give? I'll give you a hidden tippy nugget.
Hidden gem
in here.
Yes.
A hidden gem. When you choose fill with placeholder text, by default, it fills it with lorem ipsum. Okay, I'm just going to undo that. You might not want lorem ipsum. You might be doing something in which you need some Cyrillic text, or Cyrillic, actually, my Russian friend would correct me on. Or you might want some Japanese text. Well, here's the thing. When you go for fill with placeholder text, before you actually select it from the menu, if you hold down the Command key on a Mac or the Control key on Windows and click, you get to choose from all of the different built-in text things that are in here. So you can choose from Cyrillic, Roman, Greek, Hebrew, Arabic, Japanese, Korean, simplified and traditional Chinese, should you need to do so. So it's a nice little hidden nugget there that may be useful, may not be useful. Anyway, we will see. Right, so I'm going to hit escape here so that I've got that text frame, and I'm going to bring the text frame here over the top of the kitten, like so. And of course, I don't want my text to be running over the top of the kitten because I'm not David Carson. Look that up. I'm not David Carson. So I actually want it to wrap around the kitten. Now, before, okay, what you would do if I select the image here, you would either have to take this into Photoshop and create a clipping path around it, or at the very least, you could get InDesign to guess at the clipping path, right? And it would sort of have a look and do it. But now this is powered by Sensei. Yeah, so if I go for my text wrap panel just here, okay, and pick this image, you can see here that I've got this nice new option. Well, it's not a new option, but you'll see the new option when I choose wraparound object shape. Okay, then you do get a new option. It takes it a moment to load because it starts examining it. Okay, and you can see, we don't need that. You can see you've now got an option in the contour, okay, to detect edges was there already, but now you've got this select subject. So it's select subject from Photoshop in InDesign, okay, that you can apply. And you can see it's already got all of the kitten, and it's created a path which you can then adjust if you need to do so. Okay, so you can get your direct selection tool and carry on and adjust that path, but you can then do things like set your offset from it, so you can go ahead and change the amount of offset. But the fact that it's got that in is just crazy nuts. Yeah, that it's there. Yeah, brilliant.
And the
you just have to remember.
Is impressed. Jackie's saying I always changed my text frame anchor points, and yeah, also.
Yeah, I mean that's another way. Another way you could do it, but this is just really, really nice.
But you know
that it has that and it's built in.
I think there's a typo in that text. I'm not so sure about that. Looks like InDesign has.
Oh, just here, yeah. I think there's a few. Do you want to know how to get rid of all that underlining if you don't want it on there, if it really bothers you?
Oh yeah.
I mean, you could do it with the paragraph style, which is much more efficient. But if you go into there, let me just do Command Option 7 to switch to paragraph mode, and I'll select everything here. Just sorry, I needed character mode, and just change it to no language, which is actually off of my screen, which is hilarious. But if you change it to no language, then it doesn't bother analyzing it for the purpose of spelling.
Oh, that's amazing. How do you know all these things, Tony? You should be a trainer for Adobe. You should do courses for LinkedIn.
Yeah, maybe I should do that. Courses for LinkedIn, and perhaps have a YouTube channel.
Oh, hypergroovy.com.
What would I call it? Right. And by the way, I'm not wearing the hat too. Everybody on here pretty much knows my YouTube channel. I
hate product placements.
Oh, I hate product placements too. Hang on a minute while I just grab a quick drink. Sorry.
Oh look, there's After Effects right here. See, promised you.
You did. You kept your promise. That's so kind.
There you go.
Anyway. Gareth is now happy. Yes, so just remember that if you are doing a text wrap, it's the image that carries the text wrap, okay, not the text. Yeah, so you have to say, you're kind of like having the image and saying, just avoid me, just avoid me. It's pretty much like going in the supermarket in modern times, really.
Tony,
there you are.
The text wrap. It's MC Hammer.
Yeah, MC Hammer. Hammer time.
Text wrap.
Yes. Text wrapping. There you go. And you see I just made some adjustments there with my direct selection tool just to change that path that was generated by Sensei. Many moons ago, Tim, I did a very early one of these things where we took a little bit of a look at some interactive InDesign. Can you remember that?
Oh, that must have been ages ago, back when you were in that rock band. Voltaire and the Cuddly Punks.
Cuddly Punks. Yeah, absolutely. That is exactly how it was. Yes, I was with Voltaire and the Cuddly Punks. True. Anyway, I did. Now, in there, I mentioned dropping a movie into an interactive file for InDesign. So what I'm going to do is, this isn't interactive for PDF, by the way. This is like for publish online and that stuff. Oh, I've got one more thing to share in InDesign in a moment. But I'm going to switch to digital publishing just here. Okay, and what I'm going to do is place a movie. So I'll just use the place command. I've got one here on my desktop. Okay, and now I've got a movie, and I'm just going to drag and place that movie like so. Okay, so I need to go to my media panel. I'm going to scroll to a particular point in the movie like that, and I'm going to actually make that the movie poster just here. So I'm going to choose from current frame. Okay, there like so, which should have actually changed, but anyway, let's just make, there we go. And we're super big in there, so I needed to actually change where it fits, but we won't worry too much about that just at the moment. Well, I suppose we ought to, thinking about it, so let's just do that. There we are. Okay, so really do need to fit that content proportionally. There we are. So now we've got the whole thing just there, and you can see that the poster is now that current frame. So the thing that was missing from here, that was taken away since InDesign released all of the former Flash stuff from its interface and from all of its different tools, was the ability to add navigation points. So if you wanted to produce links, so let's just produce a couple of links here. Just going to type link 1 in here in a small frame on the side. You'll be able to see it in just a moment because I'll change it so that you can see it. Any other comments from the chat, Tim, while I'm just doing this business?
They are talking about other languages, how they're impressed that people learn so many, and
oh, right, okay.
Botanists for some reason. All right.
Botanists.
I think they're just having fun in the chat.
Oh, this is, well, that's the idea. It's Friday.
Yeah.
Friday
the last
fun.
day of so many best of Max sessions. So if you missed any of them, make sure to
catch them up.
Yeah.
Yes. By the way, I just went into this text frame, and by on autopilot, I went into the text frame options here and chose to align the text to the center, okay, of the frame. Now, I ought to mention that that is actually one of the things that was introduced recently into Illustrator as well. So if you have an area text, in fact, I'll just jump back there just very quickly and create a new document here. And I'll just create an area text like so. Okay, and I'll just remove what's in there, and I'll say Tim is awesome, just there, and select all of that, and let's make it more bigger like that. There we go. So it's an area text. Important to note, area text, you can always tell the difference because it has a small inflow and outflow port in the top right and bottom, top left and bottom right corners. So I'm just going to center this, Shift Command C to center it. That works with Photoshop, Illustrator and InDesign. And just down here in area type, I've got this option here, different align options. So I can choose align center like so, and it aligns it to the center. And you might be thinking, where would I use that? But you would. Align it to the bottom as well, and you can also justify it. So it needs to be multi-line for you to actually see that. So let's go ahead and make this multi-line.
Perfect.
Like so, oh no, works well that one, doesn't it? And there you are. So it just force justifies the things across all of those lines. So it's just a handy thing to have there in Illustrator as well. Back to InDesign, here we go. So I've got link 1 just here. I'm going to actually give that frame a different color just for the purpose of visibilities, and then I'm going to go ahead and create another button here. Let's go numeric and call this link 2. There we are. Okay, and we'll change the color of this one. Now I've been taking color lessons from Maddie, so you should see right now that yes, your retinas are being scorched. Right, so I've got the video active once again, and in my media panel, I can now add navigation points again. Yeah. Quite why that was so hard, I don't know. But anyway, so I've gone to this particular point in the movie, or I'm going to this particular point in the movie. So let's just say I wanted to go to the bit that's got a mistake in. There's a really good mistake in this one. But anyway, let's go to this bit here, and I'm going to add a navigation point. Okay, so point 1, just there. I can rename point 1 because it might not actually be the most, informative way for me to work. So here I'm going to call this gradient. There, like so. In gradient 1 even, so that's just fine. And I'll create another navigation point. So we'll just go towards that bit, and we'll call this one violent color. And I'm joining these two things together just to hedge my bets. Now, if I go to my buttons and forms panel, like so, I can actually go ahead and add an action to this. I want to add a video action. Okay, and what I want to do on release or tap is I want to play from navigation point. I can then choose my navigation point, gradient 1, just there. You can see that. Okay, or I can choose violent color, but we'll go ahead and do that. Now I'll go ahead and add one to this one, another video action like so. Play from navigation point and choose violent color. Just there. Let's go ahead and test this in the EPUB interactivity panel. So if I just go link 1, link 2, link 1, link 2. How about that? Yeah,
that's amazing.
It's back. I missed it so much.
But
honestly,
the other
anyway.
day I printed that out and it didn't work. I tapped on it, I clicked on it, the movie wouldn't play.
No way. You were using the wrong sort of paper, man.
Oh, I knew it.
Crazy. Easy mistake to make, though. Lots of people do make that error. Anyway, right, I've got to move on quickly. One other thing you've got to do, which I'm not demonstrating, but I just want to make you aware that it's here. If I go to the share arrow in InDesign, you've now got an option to share for review. Right, so you can share that and you can have people commenting on it, and it's super, super live and comes back into InDesign little panel. You love it. You'll really, really enjoy that.
You couldn't believe it that you can share.
You've got to be over 21 to get that joke. Oh, actually, you are, aren't you? Only just, but you are.
Hey. Right.
Let's go to my house. And you said incorrectly earlier, the West Wing. It's not. This is the East Wing. The West Wing is on the other side. But anyway, one of the fun new things in Photoshop, this Sensei stuff is really, really kicking in right now, is sky replacement, a new edit in there. Now take a look at this. I haven't chosen a sort of a lab type image that is easily going to work, right? I've chosen like a real image with trees and stuff in it, okay, and a bit of awkward stuff. So now I'm going to go to the edit menu. I'm going to make my way down to sky replacement, okay, and it starts an analysis. You can see this little whirry thing. That's actually exactly the sky I wanted, but there are many in here to choose from. Loads and loads of different skies. If you want to add one of your own skies or something purporting to be a sky, all you need to do is click this button just here to create a new sky, and you can organize those things by creating a new group to drop them in. But you go ahead and choose a sky. Let's have this one just here, and look at that. And even if you look at the trees, there's the tiniest amount of fringing on there, really tiny, and that's only because it's so far away from the original. You might not see that. There you go, it's gone. Yeah. But what it does when you actually apply it, okay, this looks much more like my house now, because that's normally what the color of the sky in the background. You can output it here to a duplicate layer or to new layers. You can also create a few adjustments here as well. So you can do a bit of lighting adjustment if you want to change it so it's more sympathetic to the background. And similarly, color adjustment. You don't need to adjust for specific colors. It analyzes the image and returns your result. From there, you can do a bit of edge shifting as well, even in these bits of metalwork on the top of Bill and Ben, the two turrets there. You can see that it's got in between those things. So if I hit OK, here you go. You can get these fab masks just here, little depth masks and all sorts that go on automatically. Boom. Fantastic fun with that. Adobe Cadabra.
This
There's
handsome gentleman.
also well,
Is
it's
that your twin
me.
brother?
Have you ever seen my brother? We
The
do
evil
we do
twin
actually. The evil twin, yeah, absolutely. We're never seen in the same room together. It's very odd. But anyway, just like Batman. Neural filters. Now, I have seen some fun stuff done with neural filters, and maybe on Tuesday on the book club with Sarah might share some of the fun she had really messing with them. But anyway, right, so you can see it's detected a face, or what some people would say is an excuse for a face. It's a face for radio. I can do some things here. So let's do some skin smoothing. Right, so we can just go ahead, it analyzes it, and let's turn it off. And on again.
But Tony, that's not how you turn it off and on again. You use the button at the bottom.
What, this one?
No, on the left. Slightly to the left.
Oh, this. Oh, yeah. No, I could do that actually. The preview button. That would have been a good idea. Actually, I could have done that. But I also wanted to turn it
so
off
you
and
don't
on
have
again.
to analyze the image again.
Yeah, no, but I like it doing that because it does it better every time you do it. Yeah, look at that. So that one's kind of fun. They've got another similar thing in the labs version, which we'll show you in a minute. But style transfer. Now, when you first open these, by the way, you've actually got to download that information because it's a separate set that you need in there. It doesn't come in with the default build, just in case you don't use it.
And this is the Maddie edition.
This is the Maddie edition. So Maddie kindly contributed some of her work here. That you can see, there's a whole bunch of different things in here. Some of these images are the same images that I've seen used in other recoloring things, but that is neither here nor there. So you can choose something, and then it will analyze it, and it will remap the colors. That one's taking just a moment or two. There we go. Like that. Some of them are really good fun. You can do some really wacky stuff with a few of them, but they are well worth playing with. This sort of gritty, grungy thing down here, because I'm gritty and grungy, right? So I look like this. I look like Satan in that previous one. Going on in there. But anyway, you've got these fab things in here to play with. You can do things like preserving color, focus on the subject here, and again, it will reanalyze it and just do like a select subject thing, and then change that as well. So you can do a whole bunch of different stuff, things that you can play with there. Loads and loads of fun in doing that. I'll turn that one off, go into some of the labs versions.
Oh,
now you can see the things here that are currently in beta at the top, the ones that you can play with. So let's go to Smart Portrait just for a second. I don't need the little flaggy thing that goes on there, but let's turn this on. All right, so this is where you can have the real funs, right? With this one. So let's just say I wanted to make myself look more surprised. No, actually, I'm going to go with angry. Right, so I'm just going to click for anger, and then I'm going to take my anger up to 11. No, actually, do you know what? I'm going to go all the way to 50.
I think that's
anger
sort of
level.
an unwritten law that you have to crank the sliders to max when you try this out. And also,
Take the anger to 50.
and Steve is just saying, geez, I wanted to eat later, not now.
I would have thought, look at that, it's all teeth.
That's like how you look in your meetings.
I know.
And the best part is,
the worst
if you slide anger or surprise all the way to the left, they look different. So minus 50 anger looks different from minus 50 surprise.
Well, minus 50 anger should be totally chilled. Look at that. They're so much fun. But there are used subtly, right? These things do have a genuine purpose to play. I liked facial age earlier, and my wife Sharon could see what I was doing, and she was sort of raising an eyebrow at like, "Why are you doing? Why are you doing?" I would suddenly look like Paul Hollywood from Great British Bake Off from this thing. But you see, I've just that's actually increasing my facial age, believe it or not. For now, let's decrease it. I want to take 30 years off of my age, which makes me probably 30. But look, this is what I looked like with darker hair and all of that stuff. So let's go ahead and just enjoy that. I mean, my hairline's not a lot gone wrong with that, but what I can do is activate hair thickness just here, and let's thicken my hair up a little bit. There. Notice it's done my beard as well. So it kind of understands the concept of beard. So now I've got thicker hair, a darker beard with all that. It's good fun. So interesting things here. Head direction is one thing. So if I just turn my head to the right slightly here, it's actually capable of, my ears are fairly distinctive anyway. It's only me and Spock that have got ears like this. But yeah, it doesn't do too bad a job of doing that. The light direction, however, underneath it, that is really, really good. I think if I just take the light direction over to the right, like so, it's just analysing just for a moment. That's not bad. It's not bad at all. Let's take the direction all the way to the left. I mean, it was slightly from the right anyway. So look at that. Pretty good. I think that is absolutely excellent. It's nice. Anyway, let's do a before and after on there. There you go.
And this is just the beta. It will
just
be better.
The beta. It will. Now there is. So let's go to an earlier picture of me, just down in this corner here. This is one of the ones I think you wanted to see, Tim, from the collection. This one is actually a scan of one of our promotional pictures. It was from our single. But what I can do here is bring this one into the neural filters. Okay, so let's go ahead and choose that. Now, this one is obviously black and white. There's a colorize option here. Now, if I turn that on, it starts to analyze it. You can see that it's not bad at what it knows what faces are. It doesn't really, and the color of the building actually, that is fairly close to what the color of that building, it's a big church, actually is. It doesn't understand like the genes and everything, but it's a good head start, and I think it will improve if you can tell it in the future what some of these things are, and it learns from it, which I'm sure it will.
Absolutely, especially
not a bad thing.
Well, one image you can retouch by hand, but now think you have to retouch 300 images. So this could be a really good option if you just want to colorize a whole batch of images in a very quicker way.
You imagine if you were taking antique cinefilm, split apart into frames, and you were having to colorize all of that stuff.
I wonder if it would be temporally consistent. If you could actually colorize.
It would be interesting to try. It would be really interesting to try.
Okay.
So you've got this super zoom here, which also tries to make up information that's missing in there. So that has a go at doing that. It's not. I mean, that's such a low grade image anyway. But that was my usual sulky face. But so it's done a good job of putting that together. But plenty of different things. Let's turn this one off and do some fun stuff. So you've got pencil artwork. You can express an interest in that. Sketch to portrait. You can express an interest in that. Photo sketch. You can let them know you're interested in that. All they want to know is, what are you currently doing to do that? What's your current workflow for doing it, and why are you doing it? So, for example, just to show you, if you click on it, you can just put your response in there. Okay, and it tells you how your feedback's handled in case you're concerned about that privacy. Okay, but then you can submit it and they'll be in touch. So there's that.
And Gareth is saying 79, 1879.
1879, yes, absolutely. I'm not talking to Gareth anymore. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of let's select all of this just here and copy it, and I'm going to drop it into this image just here. You can see that it really was a tiny image there, and let's bring that up to the top of the stack as well, and I'm going to turn it into a smart object, okay, like so, and then I'm going to do a few things to it. So I'll transform it. I'm going to rotate it a bit. I'm going to right click on it and say flip that horizontally. And I think I might do a little bit of a distort from there as well. Okay, so you've now got an option to reset a smart object as well. So you can go ahead and reset it. And for the moment, there you go, reset transform, back to that. Nice. So smart objects can be reset really quickly, which is good. Something that I've been waiting on for absolutely ages is I'm not particularly painting on this thing just at the moment. In fact, let's add a new layer there just in case. Is preset selection, right? You think about brushes. So when you're working with brushes, I tend to work with about half a dozen different brushes at most, yeah, but they're not all from the same place. So in fact, if I just go ahead, there's something I might be able to do in just a minute if I get onto it. Oh, mind you, I've only got, can we run over a little bit?
Of course we can.
Oh, that's excellent. Good news. Right, so if you want to access a preset, so if I go here for my brushes, you can see I've got quite a lot of brushes in here, and a lot of these are compacted, so you can't see them. Well, for ages, me and many people like me have been saying, you can't find all of these brushes. It's really hard to do that. And it's the same with gradients and shapes and colors. So what you can do now is you've got this search field at the top. So one of the brushes I use for backgrounds quite often is Big Beautiful Mess. Okay, from Carl Webster. In fact, if I type mess in here, because that's the only one that's got it,
A picture of me will
I
show
get
up.
to nice big mess. That's it. Not. I'm sure it used to be called beautiful mess. Nice big mess. You get to it just there. Similar for me. Right. Let me just pop across to or launch Adobe Dimension, because I want to show you something from here. While it's launching, I want to tell you just very briefly. Okay, well, in fact, it's launched already. So let's very quick. Ooh, or not. Let's do a new file. Ooh, or not. Let me try that again, this time with feeling. I'll actually click something this time. Just for full disclosure here, I use an eGPU, which Dimension sometimes doesn't like, but I'll just go ahead and do create new. Oh, there we go. Because I got ahead of it with the keyboards. When you have a 3D object, so if I choose like this round bottle just here, okay, and drop that in, I'm then going to use the wand tool to select the cap just here, okay, and then I'm just going to change the color of the cap like so make that nice and red like that. So when you apply textures to a surface, I don't know why you can't see.
That's a very dark red.
It's because it's on a black cap. That is somewhat curious. I've got two bottles.
Oh, perhaps.
I'd accidentally added a second bottle. There we go. So when you do this, the textures are applied using something called a UV. Right, now UV is just 3D speak in terms of materials and textures for X and Y, basically. Right, but simply put, that's it. And you can think of a UV as being like an orange peel. So imagine you've got an orange, but you peel that orange and lay the skin flat so that it can be rolled back up into an orange again. Yeah, and so the flattened version, that would be like your UV map. Now, if I go ahead here to the object menu and choose to generate the UVs, right, so that way it's just going ahead and saying, right, okay, you're going to unpeel the orange. Then I'll go ahead and choose export UVs. This is brand new here, so it's going to drop it out onto the desktop, and I get a resolution there as well. So export that. I'll pop back to the shop of photos, and I will open up the round bottle UVs just here, and you can see I've got the safety ring just there, and I've got the bottle cap, the bottle and cap just there, and there's the lid also. It generates me all of the necessary UVs, so I'll open that up. Okay, and then you've got a stack of layers here. Let me just close some of these things up so you can see them. So you've got your art here. Now there's a mask here as well, right, that shows you the areas that in grey that aren't going to be used in there. You're not able to see them. If you're technical on the lighting points in here, you can go ahead and click this grid so you'll know where everything goes on there if you understand that stuff. Similarly, you can see the mesh points here as well if you want to see them. But for most of us, what we'll want to do would be to bring a design in, and I've got one more thing to show on Photoshop after this as well. So I'm going to go ahead and just paint with something here. Low opacity brush. Let's put Tim on there. Let's put tone on there. Okay, I'll save that. I'm just going to turn off the collection of UV guides at the top. Not that you need to, but I'm going to do it anyway. and close that up, save it. Okay, pop back to dimension, go back to my bottle just here. So I'm going to go to the bottle itself, go to its options, and then I can apply that in a few different ways. But what I'm going to do is change the base color to an image. I can then select my file like so. So if I go out to the desktop here, into that, and into the bottle UV, just there, you will see how that comes in. Okay, and if I rotate this around, you can see how they've been applied. So it's a much quicker way for you to be able to texture something up without doing it. One last thing. This is the last thing, I promise.
One more thing.
Okay, Chris. One more thing. I'm not doing bad, actually. We're only 1 minute over, and I think we started 15 seconds late. I'm going to create a new image here. What I'm going to create is I'm going to create an image that is, let's just go with 600 squares. So I'm just going to do 600 in both directions here, like so. Okay, so 600 by 600. And the PPI, I'll just do 144 just for the minute and do okay. Right, so this is going to be a pattern tile that I'm going to make. And I'm going to make it using some things from one of my libraries here. So I'll just go back to my A stock library, and I should down the bottom somewhere have a couple of shapes that maybe capture just here. So I've got this one. Like here. Let's you. Your mum gave it me. Right, so what I'm going to do now, and this does work best with smart objects, by the way, and it tells you that if you try and do it. I'm going to go to the view menu. Okay, and I am going to go ahead and choose pattern preview just here. Now you will then see, it tells me as well, by the way, that it works with smart objects. Transforming pixel layers may show unexpected results. Doesn't mean you can't use it. Go ahead and, ooh, look, got a pattern ski. Now, what I can do, get my move tool and move this around. So maybe I want it so I get this in at this side. So I can change lots of different things about this, by the way. But I can create these pattern tiles really easily. I'm going to add another thing just here beneath. Look at that. Right, and I can go ahead and transform these objects. I'm just changing their size in relation to the tile. And I could do other things like, you know, roll them around. Of course, colorize them as well if I want to. Let's do that. Let's go and transform these ones. So just go do that one. You can tell which one is the thing here. But look at that. You've got great options there for messing around with this. I like that so much. I'm actually going to duplicate that layer. Okay, Command J, think duplicate. Like so. And there you go. Brand new option for you to mess around with. And despite what they say, right, let me just delete that layer and that layer and that layer. Despite what they say, right, you can draw on it and generate your own stuff. So, you know, if you think about it this way, it's like kind of fantastic. You've got these options. There you are. Ta-da!
Very nice. Your new
That's it for this week.
And the chat, they're just in awe. They're looking at the wallpaper and saying, wow, finally a design where my eyes don't bleed. Isn't it?
Well, it could have been Maddie doing it.
Right. So, I think that's all for today. That's about the time.
That's it.
I have an itch in my nose. I hope I don't have to. Oh dear. Okay, I'll just ignore it. Thank you so much, Tony. It was great seeing all those fantastic new features wrapped up all in a, well, give or take 1 hour session. And
yes.
If you have missed some of the more in-depth sessions from this week, make sure to check out all the other. I think I have a schedule for that. Do I have? Yes, I do. Here we go.
Yes.
Check out all the other sessions from earlier this week if you want to know more about a certain topic. And of course, we will be back next week with our normal schedule. So make sure to join us. As always, same time, same bad time, same bad channel. And let's go back to the big camera.
Scaramouche.
Here we go. Tony, will you do the fandango?
Yes. Thunderbolts and lightning, very, very
frightening.
frightening.
All right. Well, then, thank you
Galileo.
so much for joining us, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend, and of course, if you happen to speak German, don't forget to watch the German stream later today with Julia and Tanya and Melanie. It will
Yes,
be
that's at 4 o'clock, is it? Is it 4 o'clock German time?
6.
6, 5 o'clock UK time.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. And the chat, they're saying thank you, TNT. All right. We'll catch up on this one. Bye, everybody. Yes. Can you pop in the link for the German stream? Yeah, of course I can, because it's a bit different. You can't actually see it if you're not in Germany.
Adobe Live, auf Deutsch.
Auf Deutsch. That's behance.net/live/de. Put in the chat right now. Just have to approve my own comment. Here we go.
Yes.
All right. Well then, that's all from us over here. So thank you for watching. Thank you for joining us, Tony. And we'll see you on Monday. Any last words? Too late.
No, that's it.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Stay safe. See you later.
Bye.
Thank you.